This is Jim from the Pain PT, and good to see everybody today. I've got with me a special guest, Sonia here, who is very generous to come on and share her healing story to hopefully give you guys some inspiration and hope with your own recovery. So thanks for coming on. Really appreciate it.
Oh, no problem, Jim.
Yeah. So maybe we'll dive right into it. Maybe just share with the audience what kind of symptoms you're having, what you went through, how this all started, and then we can just kind of gradually go through the whole process to where you are today.
Okay. In the very beginning, when the symptoms started, was about 5 years ago, and it started out as sciatica in my left leg. At the time, I was teaching a lot of group fitness classes, and it was explained away as just overtraining. So I went through rehab, and maybe 3 months later, I wasn't back to normal, but I was fully functional. I was starting to get back into activity and all of that. And the symptoms just kept coming back. They just kept coming back. And I would go back to my physical therapist that I had at the time. And, we'd work on some more things, and then I'd feel good. And then I'd go on my own. And I just kind of bounced back and forth with him a few times. And then maybe like a year after that, I developed this really severe upper back pain. But there was nothing to link it to. It just out of nowhere happened alongside some insomnia. And so since it was upper back pain, I went back to the same physical therapist that I had, and we worked on some things. And he said, this could just be a nervous system thing. Your brain could be just protecting you unnecessarily. He gave me some material by Lorimer Moseley and Greg Lehman, and that was really helpful. The Greg Lehman thing was a recovery strategies guidebook. It's a free download, and it really explained pain science in a way that was very understandable, that you could relate to. And once I read that, I thought, oh, you mean there's nothing wrong with me? I'm just fine. and I swear the next day I was totally fine.
Yeah, really seeped into you. You really got it. It was like an aha moment, it sounds like.
Right. But then, like I said, the symptoms, they kept coming back. They would come back, and I would get all worried about it. I'd go back to the PT, and would work things. It would feel better. And it was just this bouncing back and forth for a couple of years. And then he had me read Back in Control, which explained further the emotional side of pain.
Yeah, Dr. Hanscom.
Yes. I started journaling. And that really was insightful. It showed me how much I tend to worry, how anxious I can be about things. And then through his process, he has you create a vision, a life for yourself, whether or not you have pain, to just step into that life that you want. And so I was able to move forward there. But again, symptoms come back. I'm still afraid of them. I went back into his book, and in the back of his book, he mentioned Dr. Sarno. So then I finally read Healing Back Pain, and I was like, oh, that's protection from all these emotions. Okay, I get that. And I really dropped a lot of the fear that I had around my symptoms. And I went on, I got my personal training certificate. I changed jobs, went into personal training so I could help other people who had pain, who were convinced they'd always have pain. And I was doing really well with that for about a year and a half, I think. And then some things happened in life, some things with my mom, some things with my kids, some things within my marriage, and the symptoms came back. but instead of just having symptoms in the left leg, now they were also in the right leg, although not as severe as sciatica. I mean, I could function. I could walk, I could run, I could still do my exercise. But that tension in my glutes and all down my posterior chain, down my leg, this tingling and numbness, it was there. And it scared me. There were a lot of days where it was like high anxiety. And I found myself in this relapse, not really knowing what to do because, oh my God, I know what this is. How come it's not going away?
Yeah. You tried some of the same stuff you did before, but it didn't quite have the same effect.
Right. I tried journaling. I was looking at success stories a lot. I was on the TMS Wiki website, like a lot. So yeah, it was this relapse. I didn't know what to do. And I think I heard you on Eddie Lindenstein's podcast. And I thought, well, let me give this guy a call and see if he can help point me in the right direction. So I talked to you. We talked a few times. I remember my family and I were getting ready to go on vacation. And right a couple of days before vacation, like I'd been doing pretty well. And right before, a couple of days before vacation, I bent over to loosen the puppy gate. And when I stood back up, this sharp pain shot up my back. And immediately I thought, I know what that is. It hurts, but I'm going to keep going on with my morning. Put the leash on the dog, took her on her walk, came back, got dressed for work. I trained people, and then I did my exercise, albeit I did modify it a little bit because I was having pain and twinges in my back. But I just kept telling myself all day long, you know what this is. This is okay. Just keep going. And then we went on vacation, and I just kept quoting some things from Dr. Sarno. Like I heard the success story where this lady crawled into his office because she was in so much pain. And he told her, he said, young lady, if there was anything wrong with you, you wouldn't be able to crawl in here like a crab.
Right.
So, and that quote always stuck with me. So while I was on vacation, like I had to hang up some blackout curtains for the bedroom. I went ahead and hung up the blackout curtains, and I just kept saying that quote to myself, but modified for whatever I was doing. I'd say, Sonia, if there was anything wrong with you, you would not have been able to hang those curtains, or you would not have been able to bend over and pick up the comb, or whatever I was doing. I just kept telling myself that. And after 2 or 3 days at the beach, I got in the water and swam and walked on the beach. Now I had some feedback in my legs and stuff, but I didn't let it bother me. I didn't really care about it anymore. And I was fine by the end of the week.
Yeah.
And
I remember that. It kind of really subsided quickly. Plus you were the other pieces, you were relaxing. It helped, right? You were also on vacation, and you were also mindfully feeding your brain some good information, not buying into it. Right. So you have a lot of good things going on, that good ingredients that made those symptoms go away at that time.
Exactly. And then when we came back, it was so interesting. It was a Sunday evening. I was watching TV, and I could feel the tension start to build in my body as I started to think about what I needed to do for the week, getting the kids ready for the new school year that was coming up. I felt the tension start to come back as I was recognizing those thoughts going through my mind. And so that further solidified it for me that, this was fine and that I was going to be okay. Yeah. Somewhere along the way, I'd heard about this guy. He's a life coach in New York. His name is Ralph Ruiz. He healed from ankylosing spondylitis, and he was running a book club last year. And he started out reading Healing Back Pain. And then they read a book called When Anger Scares You. They read part of a book called Letting Go. And then they finished up with a book called Dare, The New Way to End Anxiety. And I had read Healing Back Pain, I don't know how many times, but listening to him read it and then give his perspective on not only on what he went through, but just on what Dr. Sarno was saying, really clarified a lot of the book for me. And then when he got to the Dare book, I started seeing this TMS thing as health anxiety. And instead of buying into this story around TMS where, oh, your mind is hiding something from you, and as soon as you find out what it's hiding from you, then all the symptoms will go away. And I could let go of that story and just treat it as anxiety, and it was nothing to be taken seriously. And if I just let the symptoms be there and do whatever they're going to do, at the same time keep going on with my day, eventually things calm down. And I don't know if I just don't have symptoms anymore or I don't care about it. It doesn't really matter to me. I feel great.
Doesn't matter. Yeah. Yeah. You get to, for people who don't know what DARE is, and I recommend DARE to a lot of patients as well, because it's really powerful for anxiety. It is an acronym, right? DARE, D-A-R-E. D stands for diffuse, A stands for allow, R stands for run towards, and E is for engage, better get back to your life. But yeah, so maybe share a little bit more how that impacted you, because it's a really powerful, DARE kind of flips anxiety on its head, doesn't it? In terms of how you think of it.
It really does. Well, when I first started learning it, every time the symptom came up, I'd say, DARE, okay, diffuse. Oh, that's nothing. Whatever, it can be there if it wants to. And then he says in the book that you repeat to yourself, I accept and allow this anxious feeling. I changed it at first to say I'm learning to accept and allow this anxious sensation, because it was a sensation to me. And then as I got better at that and cared less about the symptoms, I would if I was having an emotion at the time a symptom would come up, I would say, I'm willing to accept and allow this angry sensation or this sad sensation, or, whatever was going on at the time.
Great.
Yeah. And then I'm excited to be feeling this, and I'm going to keep on taking the dog for a walk. You can be here if you want to, or you can go away. Doesn't matter to me.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all great ingredients that ties in great with Sarno's work and everybody else. But yeah, I like how you infuse the other emotions, because it's not just fear, but it could be, like I said, anger that's creating the sensation, or sadness. So for you to make that connection, I think is important for other people to hear too, that we're looking to link up. These are just emotions, right? So it's not, like you said, it's not threatening. We actually want to acknowledge them, feel them, let them pass, and go on with their day. So really good that you expanded upon that even further.
Yeah. My dad needed to go to the emergency room for a big drop in blood pressure. And so I met him at the emergency room. Of course, that's my dad. And I was worried about him. Was he going to be okay? And all this anxiety was running through me. And that left leg started to give me some feedback. And I was like, oh, you want to flare up? We're in the perfect place. We're already in the emergency room. Go right ahead.
Like, so what? I'm safe here.
Yeah. And it quickly went away after that.
You call this bluff.
We're already here.
Yeah. What do you think that was related to at the time? If you reflect on it, what emotions were coming up in you then?
Oh, when he was in the emergency room?
Yeah.
There was definitely fear there, because that's my dad and I'm really close to him. I'm gonna even cry right now thinking about it, but he's been there for me for a lot of hard times, and the thought of, oh my God, there might be something wrong with him, with his heart or something, was really hard to think about and,
Yeah.
and let the possibility be there that there could be something wrong with him.
Yeah. 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 Good. One of the things you alluded to is this awareness that you built,
Mm-hmm.
right? To notice the symptom and then make that connection back without going into more worry, which it sounds like you early days, that's what was happening for you, that you get a symptom
Yeah.
come up and then you go into the secondary worry or right or fear reaction.
Right. Definitely.
And you started breaking that down.
Yeah. And so once I got more confidence with this dare response and noticing how well it could be bad one day and completely gone the next day, when I went to go and do my workout, what I had been doing in the past was going a little lighter weight, maybe fewer reps on whatever I was doing, just to play it safe. But when I started going for my workouts, as I had more confidence in this dare response, I just went for it every day, every time. If it was squats, I would do the weight of squats that I wanted to do, that I was convinced that I could do, whether or not I might be hurting myself or not, or when I would be doing my kettlebell work, I just went for it as fast as I could. Just really dialing in the technique on my kettlebell work. And yeah, there were days that I was sore, but then the next day I'd be fine.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a big piece, that physical piece, right? Pushing
Mm-hmm.
yourself as if you're normal. Like that's what you did.
Mm-hmm.
You started treating mentally the symptoms as no big deal, it's whatever, emotions. And you also started treating your body the same way. Hey, I can do this, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can do this activity. So you didn't give any special attention, right, to holding back
Right,
physically.
exactly.
And you looked at your symptoms differently. So great, powerful combination to heal. Even Sarno says that. He says if you can't get back to everything you've been doing in a normal way, you're doomed to have more recurrences.
Mm-hmm. He's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And then on the other side of the dare response and exercise, I started to look at where in my day am I creating tension or anxiety where it's not necessary. Every day I would be about 5 minutes late to work. And that would always get me, in a rush unnecessarily. I didn't have time to eat or really enjoy my breakfast or even make an enjoyable breakfast. So I looked at my morning routine, looked at what time I needed to go walk the dog, what time I needed to take a shower, all of those things in order to be at work 5 minutes earlier.
Yeah.
And have it be a pleasant morning. So
Yeah.
I did that. After my workouts, I would just lay on the ground with my eyes closed, maybe some easy music in my earbuds, and just be with whatever was there for about 5 or 10 minutes after I worked out. And then in the evening, I would go on a walk with the dog, but not a walk for exercise, just a walk to get outside and put a cap on the end of the day.
Yeah.
I just realized I wasn't taking time for myself to let my own batteries recharge after, serving my clients, after serving my kids and my family. So that was also a big piece of getting better.
Yeah. That's a big piece there. Taking the pressure off, diffusing the pressure, right? Stopping for yourself, calming yourself, all these things. So yeah, that's really, really, you did a great job. I remember, we were working together for a while, that it's the ups and downs, right? Maybe speak a little bit to that, the people that are working this process and trying to see what works for them, and kind of, because I know you kind of had the same path for a while, and then it seems like you got some further breakthroughs and more strengthening in your understanding and practice.
Yeah. So, once you understand it's the state of your nervous system, it's not the state of your body. You will notice that some days you feel great, and you even string together a few days where your body feels loose and relaxed. Your digestion is really good. You haven't had a headache. You don't get some weird sound in your ears every so often. And then maybe you have a rough night of sleep. Maybe there's some problem going on somewhere, or maybe it's nothing you can really point to, and the symptoms will come back. So it does fluctuate up and down, and what I found to be best was just to stay the course.
Yeah.
When you not try anything new, don't try some new meditation, or try to read another article, or just pay it as little attention as possible and just go on with your day as best you can.
Yeah.
That's what I found. Just consistency in living life, giving life more attention than giving the symptoms the attention.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Consistency is big. Like once you have your tools, use them, right? Use them. Don't recreate the wheel again. Everybody's looking for a magic pill. And you also alluded to another piece is that, hey, we're human, and that you'll continue to have emotions and have tough days just like me, and I get symptoms too. But it's just the way our systems work. The key, like you said, is understanding what it is, because then you just go on with your day. You're not making this into something it's not, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So you feel like you it sounds like at this point you feel pretty strong in your belief and able to apply it to yourself when you get these, maybe an uptick of something.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Great. Also, maybe share with the audience what you just shared offline with me, that you just did a kettlebell competition, which I thought was awesome.
Yes, it's the International Kettlebell Association World Championship. It took place in California at the Orange Kettlebell Club. You could do it in person or join via Zoom. And I did it online. And I got second place in my weight class for kettlebell long cycle. It's 5 minutes of clean and jerk. I did 2 8Ks, which is 35 pounds, and I got 60 reps. So my coach said that I got the highest rank possible for the weight I was using and my weight class. That I did the best I could have possibly done. So that's super, super exciting for me. I've got a local competition coming up in May, so getting ready for that.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you talk about pushing your body hard. For those out there that are afraid to get back to doing things, right? You're thinking about what you overcame, all these symptoms, and then you're really pushing your body extremely hard.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's holding up.
And it's holding up.
It's doing better.
Stronger than ever. And
stronger than ever. Yeah.
Yeah. Stronger than ever. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's worth noting, because we're not as fragile as we think.
No, we're not fragile at all.
No. And your confidence in your ability to recognize that and like to say, I'm going to go for it. How much did you have a lot of fear making that transition back?
I did. In fact, I knew that just doing something physically and something that I was scared of physically would be the path forward for me. So I purposely picked long cycle, because you hold the kettlebells in the rack in front of you and your elbows rest into your hips. And I had, at the time, I would have hip pain on and off. My hip flexors would get really tight and painful. So just being in that rack position with my elbows into my hips was scary for me. And I had avoided doing long cycle for about a year.
Yeah.
So when the new training cycle started in November, my coach asked me, is there any kettlebell lifts that you want to focus on this time? And I said, I want to focus on long cycle, and I want to compete in the next competition with long cycle. So that's what we did. And yeah, there were a lot of times that I had that conditioned response with the hip pain, but I just, no, that's just a conditioned response. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with me. I made my rep counts today. I made the time limit today. or this week or whatever the case was, and I'm fine. I can keep going. So yeah, you do have to work through some uptick in symptoms, some conditioned responses, but as long as you know you're fine, there's nothing wrong with you, then, keep going.
Yeah, that's a really big take home message. Breaking that fear avoidance cycle. I mean, heck, you broke it in such a huge way. You weren't just going out for a walk. You were going, right? You had really pushed your body in, but it really shows it can be done, that you have to overcome the fear. And then the fear will give you symptoms at times, but as long as you know what it is, like you said, you just kept going. You didn't stop and get into this yo-yo up and down. You were slow and steady and gradually improving. And look, second place world championships. That's amazing.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Any last things you want to share with people on their journeys or for their recoveries that you think might be helpful?
I wanted to come on and share like a relapse story, because there aren't really any relapse stories. And what you see in the testimonials is, I read Dr. Sarno and I applied his principles and I never had pain again. And when you read that, you're going through a relapse, it's like, what's wrong with me? How come I'm not like them? How come I can't get this? And the frustration that goes into that brings on symptoms. So I just, I wanted to be a story of hope for anybody who's experiencing a relapse. When I first heard about Dr. Sarno and I wanted to do kettlebell sport and all of that, my workouts in the beginning were very simple. They would take about 15 minutes and they were very simple. And now my workouts are about 2 hours long, but I love it. I'm having the best time. So, I mean, you don't have to push your body to extremes to get better. You just have to find something that's more important to you than healing from this pain, and just put all of your energy into those things. As persistent pain sufferers, we tend to obsess on things. So if you can, for me, I was like, well, what am I more interested in? Kettlebells. What else? Well, my family, my kids are very important to me, and they're not getting my attention because I'm spending all my time looking at this pain stuff. So as soon as you start shifting your attention into things that are more important to you, the pain and the symptoms just start to fall away.
Yeah, they start to fade. It's like driving away in your car and looking in the rearview mirror, get further and further behind you. But you did one big thing, which was also that you reinterpreted this whole thing, that there's nothing wrong with you. And that's what allowed you to shift, right? So every time it comes on, you didn't just say, oh, I better go read more stuff. You said, oh, there's nothing wrong with me. This is just emotions and stress. Let me go back to my life. So you did do something, right? But you didn't hyper focus on it.
Right.
Yeah. Fantastic. Awesome. Well, thanks again for coming on, Sonia. Your story is going to be helpful for a lot of people and an inspiration, I know. So I really appreciate you taking the time and being with us today.
No problem, Jim. It was a pleasure.
Okay. Well, take care of yourself and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay.